What is up, guys? My name is Joe Scalise. This is the Noble Gwentry, and it is Theory Crafting Thursdays, where we break down strange decks, we break down off-meta decks, things that you aren't normally going to see while climbing the ladder that are still pretty good. And this is my Foglet list that I took to rank 11, almost rank 12, top 60, 65 North America, and top 900 in the world. So we're trying to get those numbers up, but that's pretty good for now. And we will just dive into the deck. So the leader with this deck is Dagon. He is a 7 strength gold, right? And he spawns Biting Frost, Impenetrable Fog, or Torrential Rain. So there's some uses with that. Biting Frost is always going to be good, and Rain can be really strong if your opponent has a row of small minions that you all want to kind of hit at the same time. But the real reason we're playing him is because of that Impenetrable Fog. So why does Fog matter? Well, it matters because of this guy right here. Foglet. So Foglet, 2 strength minion, summon or resurrect this unit whenever you put Fog on your opponent's board. So you play Fog, and there's 2 impenetrable Fogs in this deck. You play a Fog, you get all 3 Foglets out. So not only does your Fog do 2 damage to your opponent's highest minion, but you also get 3 Foglets out. So it thins your deck by 3, you get 6 power, and then 2 more from the Fog, and they have to answer the Fog at some point, which is really nice in and of itself. So that's kind of the main thing. Now, building off of the Foglet package are the Necker Warriors. So 5 strength units, you choose a bronze ally and you put 2 of it on the bottom of your deck. And these are solely in the deck for the Foglets. So you play your Fog, you get your Foglets out, your opponent does something, and if your Foglets are still on the board, you play the Necker Warrior on a Foglet, you get 2 on the bottom of your deck. So the next time you play a Fog effect, you get 5 Foglets instead of 2. Now, other bronze card. We have Celiano Harpy, which is 5 strength unit, and when it comes onto the board, you also get 2 1/1 Harpy eggs that summon 3 strength Harpies when they die. And that's this is a very, very strong card. It's probably the best monster bronze in the game right now. So you get that 7 power immediately, and then the Harpy eggs, if they stick around for the whole round, you get 6 strength starting next round right away. Very, very good. Now, this is Theory Crafting Thursday, so I'm not going to say the whole deck is perfect. I'm not going to say that everything is completely tight. You could run 2 Necker Warriors and 3 Harpies, and I've considered making this switch. I've tried both out. The reason there are 3 Necker Warriors is because the ability to get more Foglets is so important that you want to see a Necker Warrior every single game. Usually 1 is enough. But if you can get 2, you can go crazy. When you start pulling 7 Foglets with your Fog, like, you're going to just take over games. And that's very nice to have both of these packaged. But the Harpies are very strong, and you could run 3 and 2 of these. Also, Drowner is another card that could be flexed. You could probably go down to 1 Drowner as well and play 3 Harpies. So Drowner is a 7 strength unit. It is, when you put it into play, you move a unit to this row on its side. And the reason there are 2 of them is twofold, really. There are a lot of Crash and Crate around the ranks that I'm at, and Crash and Crate is very good at setting up very specific combos. So being able to use a Drowner to move their archers away from a row so they no longer get buffed, using these cards to move Morkbag away from a Wild Boar of the Sea, very important. Outside of that, this can also drag units into Fog. You can also use this to save your own units from weather. This does not need to be used on your opponent's unit. So, you have you got a Necker Warrior, or you have another Drowner, and your opponent plays a Fog or a Frost on it. You can use the other one to pull it out of the row and put it somewhere else, which is always nice. So that's the main core of the deck. These are the bronzes. 1 First Light. Ragnarok's a thing right now. You got to run a First Light. Double Fog. You don't want 3. 3 Fog is overkill. You basically have 4 Fog effects in this deck, including Dagon. So you don't need a 3rd Fog here. 2 is more than fine. You just want to see 1 pretty much round 1 every single game. And then I'm also running double Thunderbolt Potion. So this is just boost 3 adjacent units by 4. It's one of the better ways to push around with this deck, because you can use this on the Harpies. You can use this on the Foglets. You can also use it on the Wolves made by Woodland Spirit. So there's a lot of targets for this card, and I like having the ability to go in with them. Once again, I think 3 leads to clunky draws. I see some people trying out 3, but I think 2 is fine. And then moving into the silvers, we have Catacon, consume a unit from either graveyard. There's so many graveyard decks, a lot of Queen's Guard, things like that. Just being able to have this utility is fantastic. It's also a really big threat that does need to be dealt with, which is really nice. And then a Fiend. I like the lock. I think it's powerful right now. Also, damaging a unit by half its power is really nice. So this card can kind of be like a targeted coral as well, even if you're not locking a unit. You know, there's like a 20 strength unit, doesn't have an ability. You still get to use this to hit for 10, so it's basically a 15, and that's really good. And then Frightener, I like the card draw from Frightener. I think that's powerful. One Aeromancy, which is just more ways to get Fog. It's basically, you kind of overcommit on the Fogs. Now, the Aeromancy may not be needed in this deck, but I have found the ability to use this. People run a lot of First Lights, right? And the problem is that First Light clears out your Foglets. So it's basically, this card hard counters you, so I've kind of overtuned the deck in a way that makes it so my opponent cannot do that by running enough Fogs. And then finally, we have Water Hag, which I just think is fantastic. The Clear Skies is always going to be good. The Torrential Rain comes up every once in a while, and the Lacerate Caranthir combo, which we covered in the Wild Hunt video last week, just such a powerful, it's one of the best combos in the game right now, and I really like this card. And then the final silver card is Commander's Horn, which is boost 5 adjacent units by 4. It's like a giant Thunderbolt potion, and it's one of the finishers, because you get a lot of Foglets, and sometimes that's not enough. You know, you get like 5 or 6, 7 Foglets out. And how do I make those, how do I make use of those to really put the pressure on, to really get that final burst? Commander's Horn is the way you do that. And then the 4 golds, pretty self-explanatory. They are, what in my opinion, the best suite of monster golds right now, with the exception of Emerlith, which you would use in a Frost deck. Caranthir, 5 strength, move 5 enemies to this row on the side and put Frost on it. Very, very strong. Great with Water Hag, because you play Caranthir, you move all their units, then you use Water Hag and you Lacerate. You win a lot of rounds doing that. But also just very strong on its own. Woodland Spirit, this is a pretty essential legendary for this deck. 5 strength gold, you spawn 3 Rabid Wolves, and you put Fog on the row, on the opposite row on the other side. So this basically summons your Foglets, gives you 8 strength, and the 3 Wolves are, even if you don't have a lot of Foglets, target them with Thunderbolt Potion, you can target them with Commander's Horn. There's some good uses for this card, and it's a pretty good swing. And then Caretaker, my personal favorite card in the game, also a very strong card in Monsters. Resurrecting unit from your opponent's graveyard. Between this and Catacon, you should beat Skellig pretty much every single time. And you can really use this in a lot of matches for some really cool things. I've won a lot of games resurrecting mages and that sort of thing. And then finally, Gels. You can't run a monster deck without Gels. I don't know how you would do it. There are budget builds, but if you're going to have a gold, if you're like monsters, if you enjoy the faction and you want to play it, craft Gales. Draw a gold card and a silver card. You play one and you put the other on the top of your deck. It's just fantastic. The 2-body, I mean, this could be a spell, and I'd probably play it. The 2-body doesn't matter at all. He gets you these units. He also allows you to go through your silvers, and like, let's say you don't want to play something early on. Let's say it's Caretaker in round 1. Then you don't have to play it. You just play the silver, and you're going to put this on top of your deck. Fantastic card. One of the best around right now. So this is the list. This is what we're playing with. We're going to go play a couple games. I will see you guys on the ladder. All right, guys. We're going to play some Foglet Control. I think it's Control. It's not really Control, but it's like, I don't know what to call it. Foglet Weather. I'll play a Foglet deck. And we're going to take it to the ladder, see how we do, see what we're up against. It's probably going to be Nilfgaard.
You've got the heart of an Uncrate.
Let's crash on crates. One of the better, in my opinion, factions. Notice I will be covering him this week. So mulligans with this deck. What are we looking at? Gales, we're easily keeping this. Fiend is fantastic against Crash on Crate because you can hit Morkvag with it. Although they usually have an answer to Morkvag, this is still a pretty good tempo play. The Water Hag is also nice. It means we don't need a mulligan for a Clear Skies. The Double Harpy is fantastic. Necro Warrior, you always want to keep one Necro Warrior, and you obviously never want a Foglet, so we'll get rid of that. Double Necro Warrior, we have the Impenetrable Fog. The question is, do we need either of these? I think Commander's Horn is actually pretty good here. Crush on Crate likes to push the first round, so they can try to win the first round and then Morkvag their way into the second and third. And so I think having this card to close it out is really nice. We don't need the Aeromancy. The first light's kind of sketchy. We'll mulligan this away. Just hopefully we don't get a Foglet. Nah, Fog is pretty... I mean, this is essentially the Aeromancy that we mulliganed away. So we're going to lead with the Harpy here, which is the best play. Notice there's no reason to gills till later on because none of our, like, except for Woodland Spirit, nothing is really good to use with him. All the other golds are dead. So we'll put the Harpy in the middle row. Fog is probably going to go in the front row, and that means the Foglets are going to go in the front row, so there's no reason to set ourselves up for... Ooh, gross. Gross, gross, gross. So I'm really tempted to lock that. The problem is if we lock that, we can't lock Morkvag. So I think we just Fog. We take 1 damage, but we have a second, or like 3 damage, I think. But we have a second Fog. The reason the bear is such a problem is because it eats Harpy. So it pops the Harpy eggs, and then it shoots the Harpies that get summoned from the Harpy eggs, and that's not great. Although,
I promise you a quick death.
I promise you a quick death. So we're just going to Necro Warrior and get some of these Foglets going. This makes our other Fog better as well. So if our opponent doesn't want to, like, let's say our opponent wants to play the slow game. Okay, so he's gonna crash on crate there. That's fine. Now, if we play Necro Warrior here, we lose tempo. We go up to 16 down to 20, but we have Commander's Horn, so we can always take the round if we need it. We can also Harpy as well. I can't figure out the noise. It sounds a little loud to me. I'll check out the video, see if I can tune it. We do want... Okay, so that's a pretty good play on his part. The buff there. Now we can Commander's Horn. The problem I have with Commander's Horn is that Commander's Horn on the Foglets means that he can hit us for a lot with the clear skies, which I'm not too keen about. I think it might be better just to Fiend and then force him to... So there's 2 ways you can play against Crash on Crate. We want to Fiend the Morkvag, and the way we want to do that is we want to go down 1 card. So basically we want to be even on cards, and within 5 or whatever points that the Fiend hits, he passes, and then we slam the Fiend on the Morkvag to take the round and lock this out. So we'll play Gales here, see what we get.
Naivety is a fool's blessing.
Karen Thayer and Katakon are both pretty bad. We'll just say the Karen Thayer. So this is interesting, an interesting scenario that we're in. We're going to move these up. We didn't play the Karen Thayer on this row because the Foglets die if Fog ever leaves the opposite row. So if we covered the Fog, we would have lost the Foglets. We have 4 in our deck though, so we do probably want to Fog again this round if we can help it. But we want to force him to clear skies. Yep,
not
there
you
it is.
Again.
And that's really good for us. So the question is how much tempo do we want here? And I think the answer is quite a bit. The Clan Borkvar Hunter is a little annoying, and the Bear is keeping us off of the Harpy. But we can just Dagon hit this with Fog to get the tempo, right? We really want that tempo play. We don't need the Fog right now. We could simply Fog. That gives us, we have 7. But if we do this, we get 14, and it puts us up, right? 19 plus 7 is 26 plus 7, yeah. And we get the -2 off of the Fog. I like the Dagon play here a little bit more, and we're going to put it in the back row, just in case he has Igni. Penetrable Fog this row. And now Igni doesn't matter that much. And we have tempo, which is nice. So the goal here is to keep it close. He only can have so many clear skies.
Give him no rest, no reprieve.
Ah, that's kind of annoying.
Now, all together.
That's a pretty good swing. Did that mean that... I think we just play the Harpy, right? We play the Harpy here. So we lock Morkvag for 4. He goes to 5. So our opponent loses 4. We get +4. So that's 8-point swing. And we can't play the Harpy because of this stupid thing. We get an 8-point swing, and we also get 2 from the Fog. So it's a 10-point swing. We need to be within 10 points. So I think it makes sense. We could also Lacerate with the Hag. It's a pretty good Lacerate for us. I don't think we're going to get a better lacerate in this matchup. I think we just take it while we can. And that puts him down 6, which is always going to be nice. So he's pushing this round, which makes me think that he might have something crazy going on here. He hasn't used a lock or decoy yet.
I sense
Ooh. Siri. Siri is pretty gross. If we pass here, he goes down to 29 because this is the largest. We get 3 carryover. He probably gets what? I wish they would show the base strength of these cards. Has this card been buffed at all? I don't think it has, which means that Morkvag is an 11 minus... No, he's... This buffs it by 3. Yeah. So he's an 11. So he's an 8. We have 6 to 8. If we pass here, he goes down 1 point. He could get Siri back then in that situation if he wants it. I think this is fine. I think this is a good pass. Because if he wants to win the round, he has to go down a card, which is really nice. And that works out for us because we don't really care about the card disadvantage because we'll get it back through the Harpy next round. There's no way he's going to be able to pressure us out because of our hand. And we know we have Katakon coming off the top, which can eat this thing.
Get stitches.
So he had the lock in hand, so playing the Fiend there wouldn't have done anything. And he also doesn't get Siri value. Like, this is a very important note, but also we can always take the round in 1 card. Like, I don't like him locking this. It doesn't really make sense. We can also... If we get Caretaker at any point, we can use it to get Cleaver now, which is really nice. So what card don't we want in our hand? That's a good question. I think we want to keep everything because we're going to Foglet this turn, and we still have a bunch of Foglets. No, we pulled all the Foglets, right? So we can get rid of the Drowner then. We don't really need this. Everything else is really strong. You could just pass here.
I'm in no mood for jests.
Olgierd is cool. So we Harpy, that puts us to 10, and that puts us within... As long as he's within Fiend range, that's all we care about. And we want to save a Fog for the last turn. We just need him to be in Fiend range. Both of these are 5, so it doesn't matter which one we lock. We're going to lock Morkvag, because that one he can do crazier things with Morkvag. Like, Morkvag comes back every time he dies, whereas Olgierd just comes back at the start of the round. So if we lock Morkvag and then if he keeps Morkvag around, we can't kill it next round, or we can kill Olgierd. So we are down a card. He'll get the last say, but hopefully that won't matter. And we'll pass. So we get to go first. So we get a Katakon as well, which is really nice. Katakon is very good if he has like Freya, Priestess of Freya or anything. So it's 6 to 5. We're actually up by 1.
The moment. I need to smoke.
And we got Oh my god, we got Caretaker. That was the best draw in our deck. So we can choose which one we want to do first, which is really nice. And we want everything in our hand. We have a buff, which is good. We've got the Commander's Horn. So we're going to look at the graveyard here. Gremist is pretty good. The biggest thing is that 15 from the Hunter, which we clearly want to eat. He can only resurrect Morkvag if he has Sigfrida, where he can get the Bokvar Hunter immediately. So we'd rather leave our options open to rezzing Gremist. So I think it's better just to eat the 15 right away. Yes, if we resurrect it, we can shoot this, but I think it's better to leave because Gremist has Clear Skies, and he also has access to Blood Curling Roar, so we can kill like a Foglet and get a 12 Bear. So we want to play Caretaker later on. If he has Igni, that's unfortunate, but this is just unfortunate placement of our Harpies. Depends what our opponent wants to do here. If he kills this with Igni, we'll probably just Thunderbolt these two. We don't need to get full value on the Foglets.
Yalmar on crates coming for ya!
Okay, so that actually gives me pause. It makes me kind of want to buff up the Lord of Undvik. He's already used his Clan Drum and Shield Maidens. So that makes me think that maybe we want to just go ahead and Thunderbolt this. Although, I mean, how does he kill it? That's a good question. And one I don't really have an answer to. We do lose quite a bit of potential if we buff it up, but I don't know how he kills this without... Like, he has the guy that does 5 damage. I don't know. Holger Blackhand? Yeah, I don't think it's worth doing that. I think it's better just to do this. Like, if he Holgers this, he Holgers this. Whatever. Or Triss. So Triss is going to tie this one up. The question is, how much value are we getting from everything that we're doing? So I think now that we know our opponent, so Caretaker is going to be probably quite a bit of value. If we fog now, and he has a clear skies, we aren't going to get the last say, right? No matter what we do, our opponent's going to be able to hold clear skies for the last card. So it probably makes more sense to use the fog sooner rather than later. Like, we don't want a Caretaker just yet. Although, now that we've buffed these, yeah, we want to do this, because then we can Caretaker. So we play the fog here. If he doesn't clear it right away, we can use the Caretaker with Grimace to kill a Foglet, just in case he does want a fog. I think that's strong. And we're going to do it here, because when he clears skies, and I think he will clear skies, we at least loses 2 life.
I promise you a quick death.
Sure. Okay, so now we're going to make use of Grimace, I think. So we Caretaker. We take Grimace.
That is your brilliant move. Truly?
Blood Curling Roar, one of these. Just in case he has clear skies. And we're going to put this here. Now, if he has clear skies and Igni, that would be the nightmare, of course. But if he just has clear skies, that's fine, right? Because then we're losing 1, 2, 3, 6, 12.
May Maud John Freya watch us and keep us.
Oh, and he can't Sigdrifa a clear skies, which is really nice. And the fog, notice the fog isn't that big a deal, but it is hitting for 2 a turn, which is always good. And then we just do this. And that way Igni doesn't quite kill us, and that is the game. So you'll notice how I played that one, kind of went in on the Foglets round 1, and very important note about Ciri. Never, I think our opponent misplayed. I think he actually should have conceded round 1 when he had the Ciri value. You never want to go down a card against a Ciri just to beat it. You'll be down 2 cards, and that's too hard to come back from. So you'll notice the way I paced that game, and kind of played back and forth, and then finished it off with the diversity of threats, right? It wasn't just, here are all my Foglets. That leaves you vulnerable to things. It was, I'm going to Thunderbolt Potion these first. I'm going to make the giant Katacon. Do you have an answer for that? Okay, you don't. Here's the fog. Do you have an answer for that? And then you kind of build it out like that. So that is game number 1. I will see you guys for game number 2. All right, guys. We're back. Game number 2. And we got 70 points for that last win. I don't know how the MMR works in this game, and I can pretend like I do, but
Not
it's nice when it falls in your favor.
In bloodshed.
So we've got Morvan Voorhees. We got some reveal action. This is a tough matchup. This is, I will say that right off the bat, this is one of the tougher matchups in the game. So we don't want the Foglet. That's always priority number 1. I like most of this hand. The Frightener is pretty nice. Being able to get ahead against your opponent early. We have an early Fog. We've got double Necro Warrior. We've got the double Harpy. Water Hag for the clear skies. The Katacon and Caretaker are both pretty bad round 1. So I probably only want to keep one of these. The question is, which one do I want to keep? Probably the Caretaker. There's so many good Caretaker targets. And the Commander's Horn, that should be fine. That's a good way to buff up our cards if we really want to push. My opponent is going first, so he's probably just going to lead off with a Mangonel or something to that effect. No, he's just going to lead off with the Golems. And there they are. Lovely, aren't they? So the one thing about the Golems that's really nice is they set up a really... I mean, we'll see what our opponent has here. If he does... Oh, he does. I was going to say, if he doesn't have a Foot Soldier, which he does, it sets up a really nice fog. So we're going to lead with the Harpies then instead. We're going to put them in this row, because you'd much rather Commander's Horn Harpies than Foglets, because Foglets are vulnerable to clear skies, and most people have clear skies this early in the game.
I like to improvise.
Ooh, hits the Frightener. We're just going to fog. Brings that down. The fog also puts on a little pressure. The 14 points from Cynthia is pretty good for our opponent.
Tell me what you've got.
Clear skies. It's a... Oh, Tremors. It's actually way better. Although a really premature Tremors, if you were to ask me. So this is... Commander's Horn at full value is 20 points. So we can play this, get the whole board, and then go down one card to win the round. Which is pretty nice with the Frightener. So I kind of like this. We're at 16, so if he wants to pass here, he also loses a bunch of value from the fog. If he wants to pass here, he can. It doesn't really matter. I don't think he will. I'm just saying.
My powers are yours to command.
Ooh, we got Karen Thayer. So we're going to Dagon here. We want to set up these Necro Warriors as best as possible, so it's a pretty good Dagon. And we're going to fog the back row. I wanted to fog Cynthia just in case our opponent has the card that gives resilience, but that's really not worth it. So how badly do we want to push this is the question. We don't get any Necro Warrior value, but we could play Woodland Spirit here if we want to really get crazy. I don't think that's entirely necessary. I think we can just Karen Thayer, pull these down, and hit everything. And then it also sets up our Water Hag should we need it. That also lets us save Commander's Horn, but we could also do the opposite, where we save Karen Thayer and Water Hag for later in the game, and we have Commander's Horn on this row, just to kind of push the round. It really could go either way. I think the Commander's Horn is probably going to... Well, it's still going to be good with Woodland Spirit, right? But I still think it's going to lose value as the game goes on, where this is always going to be good, so I think it's better to do this. This is also resistant to Igni because of the 9-7 offset, which is really nice. And if our opponent wants to keep pushing, then we can Karen Thayer and set up the Hag. There's like... It's going to be very hard for our opponent to win round one, and we want to win round one because of Tybor. Tybor is everywhere right now, and being able to push round two while you're ahead... Alright, well, we're going to Water Hag now, I think. We don't really need to. The Ragnarok isn't doing all that much. Right, we're -3. We play 5. He's -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, I think it's better just to do this.
There is no escape.
Like, -3 is fine. It's not touching the eggs, which is really what we care about, because we want to preserve these carryover in the next round. And we can always clear skies with the Hag if we need to.
Snitches get stitches.
Why did he lock that and not one of the eggs? What? That must have been a misclick. We're way too high in rank for someone to be making those mistakes. I have no idea what that play was. So the question is, do we want a Harpy here? We lose the Harpy, but we hit everything for 3. That's pretty good. I mean, we definitely want a Harpy here. The question is, do we want a Harpy with the swipe, or do we want to clear the Ragnarok? Harpy swipe is just more value, right? We lose 6, but we gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're +5 in that. And Ragnarok doesn't stop, but we're consolidated to 1 row. Although, maybe it is... No, because then we can just Caretaker the Van Hamar to clear next round. Yeah, that's fine. We just lacerate. He's down by so much. And we do want to win this round. Against Nilfgaard, there we go. That's the pass. Against Nilfgaard, you really want to press for round 1 just because of Tybor. And we're on even cards, which is fantastic. I don't know why he didn't lock our egg. Like, we're at like 1800 MMR. Like, it just seems weird to me that someone would make that play. We also have the Frightener, which is, oh, we drew Gales. All right, now we're doing stuff. So Gales can't get us a gold, which is worth noting, but it makes our top deck a silver, and our silvers are going to be good. I mean, not our top deck, but this basically plays a free silver out of our deck, so that's really nice. And we can get rid of one of the Necker Warriors, I think. Okay, so we have Frightener, so we're not worried about losing card advantage by going into the round, and so we are just going to go into the round. We have Woodland Spirit, but we don't actually have any way to... This is our only way to make Foglets, and we kind of want that for the last round. So we're just going to push here a little bit. We'll just start with the Drowner. So what can Gales get us? We have a Frightener in hand, and we have a Water Hag, and a Commander's Horn have been played. So Aeromancy actually is a pretty good pull here. Alright, Fire Scorpion, that's fine. So we're going to Gales. We can get Catacon, we can get Aeromancy. Both of those are strong. And we'll put him in the back row.
Naivety is a fool's blessing.
There it is. And we'll Fog the old Fire Scorpion. That sets up our Necker Warrior, should we need it.
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
That is fine for us. And we'll put some Foglets on the bottom of the deck. And what's cool is that the Necker Warrior puts them on the bottom, so you can't draw them unless, of course, you have no cards in your deck. That's really important. That really makes this strong. So we are going to give our opponent some value here from the Frightener. But what's nice is he's still not going to be ahead. So he still has to play a card no matter what. We play the Frightener. He goes to 24. And then we play... We could actually... The more I think about it, so Caretaker can get us Van Hamar, which can get us Stanisol's Tremors, or Stamelford's Tremors, rather. And that's a 16-point swing. We may actually be able to push this round pretty hard. That's worth thinking about. So I think it's worth using the Thunderbolt Potion, maybe. Well, let's Frighten her first and see what we draw. Right, yeah. Because Tybor Ebract is the card we want. Ooh, nice hit. Okay, we can definitely burn a Thunderbolt Potion now. Tybor is the card we want him to use in this round, and we're just going to take him down to... Did he just forfeit? Alright. That'll work. I honestly don't know how we were going to lose that game anyway, to be completely honest. I think he recognized that. We'll send him the GG. Hey, we got some scraps, and we are continuing our climb up through the ladder. Feels good. I will see you guys for game number 3. We'll play one more. See you guys then. Alright guys, we're back for a third game. And that was a pretty good win in our second game. Gonna get that daily pack from the grinding rewards. I like the daily rewards a lot. As I say in the article, I know there's a lot of controversy right now about different things, but with the pack pricing and all that, but I think it's fine. I got a lot of meteorite dust to spend. I might get myself a premium Dagon. That looks pretty cool. Or a premium Woodland Spirit, one of my favorite legendaries of all time. So let's look at our opening hand. We'll break down the mulligan. Obviously, we don't want the Foglet. And this is, we've been getting some pretty nice hands. This is a lot of good stuff going on here. The Katacon can eat a Foglet if our opponent's playing Foglets, which I assume he might be, because he's playing Dagon, so that's not terrible. Obviously, Gales gets us Karen Thier, which is amazing, and Caretaker and Woodland Spirit are both very good. The problem is, I'm always hesitant about keeping either of these in round 1, but I think in this particular case, because I think we're going against Foglets, having them both is fine. Drowner is good, Necro Warrior is fantastic, and then Commander's Horn is a good way to break this open. We have double Harpy, and we have a Fog. So this hand looks pretty primed and ready to go. Unfortunately, we're going first. So we're just going to Harpy. We do have no clear skies, but we may be able to get it off of a Hag with Gels. But we have a lot of... Oh! Ooh, he might be playing Consume. That's a change of pace. We got a pretty good Fog here. We should take it. It knocks them both down to 1. One of my favorite things about Fog is the tempo it provides. By that I mean, if our opponent were to clear, right, with clear skies, he doesn't actually add any points to the board, and that's really, really nice. It's one of the bonuses of weather that I think is really cool. We're going to take this opportunity to Necro Warrior. We could play the Harpy, but we're already ahead in value, so we're going to put the Warrior and get some Foglets. That goes down to 3, so he's going to do this. Probably, I would imagine he's going to Frost this middle row. If I had to guess. No, he's going to Fog, so he's playing Foglets. And those are all going to die to the Fog. And we can then eat one with Katacon, or we can res one with Caretaker. Both of those options are fine. And we're going to play the Harpy into this row, I believe. We want to set up the Commander's Horn. Okay, so it's kind of like a mirror match. So the question is, do we want a Katacon or do we want a Caretaker? Getting a Foglet of our own is pretty nice. But I don't know if we want to use Caretaker this early on and this carelessly. We can also play Gales for Karen Thier and kind of just snatch up all of these cards, which in and of itself is pretty good. We are going to lose the Foglets, though, if we do that. So maybe we want to protect against the Fog by playing this. It's probably the better play. Then we'll just take the Harpy. No. I don't know which one is better. The egg is probably better. We'll put the egg in this row. That way he loses 4 value, and he has less carryover in the next round, which is important. Okay, so he's definitely playing Consume. Like a weird Consume hybrid deck is what this looks like. So we'll play Gales here. Could also slam Commander's Horn, but I think Gales is better. We want to set up our draw for next turn anyway. Frightener is not terrible. And we will put Karen Thier on the back row. Now that his eggs have been popped. Pretty happy about that. So there's the clear skies. We lose our Foglets. Wait, what? Why didn't we lose our Foglets? Destroy this unit when there's no fog on its row on your opponent's side. That has to be a bug. These should definitely be gone.
Who taught you to play like this?
Yeah, I have no idea why that happened. So, I don't think Foglets are his main plan, so there's no reason to Katacon. We could Caretaker, but I think this is just better. Notice that I didn't put the Commander's Horn on the Foglets because of how fragile they are, although he did just use a Clear Skies, so there's that. If we pass here, we lose 6 value next turn. Our opponent needs 11 to catch up to us, but he does have 8 carryover, but that shouldn't matter in the long run. Could also just make the ultimate tempo play of Dagon, slam Dagon, play Fog in the back row, summon the Foglets from our deck, hit this for 2, or we could, I mean, they're essentially the same thing. It might be better just to, we We could just frost this. Like, that's definitely playable, like a good play. We pop both of his eggs, although 2 of our eggs cancel out 2 of his eggs, so I think it's better to get the fog. Because we hit the 8, and I think that's important. So yeah, we're losing 6. Okay, so he has some decent carryover. But so do we. So the question is, so we're going to lose 4 and then gain. So we actually gain 2 from this. We just don't have any carryover. But our opponent wants to keep pushing. We don't want to use, we'll use the Katakan on the Drowner. And there's nothing our opponent has that we really want, except for the Foglet. So this might be a good pass turn. Although if he wins, he's up by quite a bit, so maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it's better just to eat something with Katakan. Or maybe just not get greedy. Maybe we just play the Caretaker here. Although Caretaking our Harpy is really nice. And we can pretty much guarantee to win next round. Alright, we'll do this. We'll use an Arrakis. I think the extra power might matter. And the longer we stay in this round, the more the Akimara gets ticked. Now he loses 4 value next turn.
You talked enough.
And that's of course going to be a pass from us. As we explained last game, don't mess with Siri. It's not worth it. If he wants to catch up to our 19 points, that's completely fine. He'd have to lose both cards, and yeah, that's just not worth it. So we're drawing Frightener, which is great because we can make up the card disadvantage we just got. We also invalidated all of his carryover, which is really nice. And we can Caretaker out a Harpy. So probably want to get rid of the Drowner. And Hag is pretty good. So we can open this by Caretakering the Harpy. I don't really think there's anything else that's juicy. Actually, what we could do... Yeah, we don't want to necessarily frighten her just yet. We want to take our opponent really low on points. So we're going to Caretaker. And Harpy is definitely the best option. And then we will frighten her next turn, force him to use a card. So we know one of the cards in his hand is probably Siri. I don't imagine there's that many cards in his deck that are that much better than Siri. He's also already used 2 Ekimaras.
Ho ho, I sense trouble.
Yeah, so that doesn't do anything. We're going to put this here. The problem is that it scares things off the row, so we want this to go here to make Grave Hag better. Ooh, Fog. Fog is good. Fog is really good. Fog lets us stay in this round even longer, which is really nice. Oh, he had a Harpy. Boo. So the question is, do we want to Water Hag this row and make our last card Woodland Spirit, and then we'll be 1v1. He goes first, or 2v2 rather. He goes first. Our 1 card is Woodland Spirit. His 2 cards don't matter because this is our last card, and that's pretty good. We just want to limit his carryover at this point, so I think it's better to Impenetrable Fog here. And we're going to use it on the back row. For 2 reasons. One, if he does somehow have another Ekimara, we want him to get less value out of it. Secondly, it sets up better if he has like an Igni or something, then he just burns these. And it takes heat off of our carryover row. Oh god, Gales. That's not good. Although we did force him to burn Gales, which is nice. Ah, he had the Frightener. That's rough. That's really rough. So the last card in his deck is a gold card. The question is, do we want to Hag here and force another card out of his hand? I don't think we want to kill the eggs anymore. He goes down 2, he goes down 5. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. We go up 3. He has to play a card, but then he gets last say. Still, what is the last gold card our opponent's running? No idea. So he needs at least 10 to catch up to us, because he's going to take 2 off of this. What gold card? So we've seen Gills, we've seen Siri. Is that it? It could likely be Karen Thier, which of course is really good against our Spirit. If he has to use 2 cards here, I mean, we're in... Oh, nice. We pulled the Crones. Okay, that's really good. Okay, that lost our opponent a lot of tempo value in the last round. We're even, because we both get the eggs to come out. And that's the importance of bleeding your opponent, right? Getting those Crones out is really nice for us. I still think we're in trouble because he has the card advantage. Clear Skies is obviously not what we want here. Drowner is fine. So we don't know what the gold... Ooh, Royal Decree... Siri Dash.
Save me some time.
Okay, that could have been worse. Although we're still pretty screwed. We'll put these into the same road just because that's where we're going to fog. But if he has a Clear Skies, obviously, I think this one is over. Oh. God, that sucks. Why would he play the Grave Hag anyway? Unfortunately, weather always triggers last, so we can't play fog into this row. This will go first, and then the weather will trigger. So we'll just take the 4 damage on the Harpies, but we're dead. Grave Hag is so good. I run her in my consume. See, she's going to trigger before the Harpies will. She's going to be like a 20 or something ridiculous. Yeah. I wonder what the last card he held back was. Oh, Toad. That was actually a close game. I didn't even realize it.
Who taught you to play like this?
God, we lost by 1. That was a good game. That was a good game. That was a good game. So, GG, bro. That was a close one. So we saw 3 games with the Foglet deck, and that last game we lost just by the skin of our teeth to a Grave Hag, which is a great card. I think it's really good. I'll be doing Consume Monsters at some point in the future. That's the deck I'm really interested in tackling. Thank you guys so much for watching the videos, checking out the site, doing all those things. I'm Joseph Scalise. This is the Noble Gwentry. Whether you know me from somewhere else, whether you just know me from here, whether you're just finding me out, I appreciate you guys checking it out. And I will see you guys next week. Peace out.